Rachel, you are not going to become a secretary. You have straight A's for your A levels. Go to medical school. You are smart, you have the grades, and I will give you a loan. Go and become a doctor, and when you get your first job, you can pay me back. That was my late Uncle Cyril, who was raising his own young family at the time. Thanks to him, my mother, Rachel, went on to become the first in her family of 8 siblings to graduate from university as a doctor. For a girl who grew up stunted because of malnutrition, a girl who grew up in the servants' quarters of a British officer's black and white house in Tanglin Halt, a girl who would grow up to be my mother. That's really well done. Mom paid off that loan to her older brother, and then she, while supporting her parents, put her younger brother, Jeff, through university as well to become a journalist. That loan from my Uncle Cyril lifted my mother up so that she could lift my uncle up. And in that way, my entire family, my generation, we're all college educated. I love that story because that single act of kindness and generosity from my uncle had life-changing impact for so many people. That loan wasn't just impactful in and of itself, it laid the foundation for future growth. That loan was a brick from which a cathedral was built. From little things, big things grow. Now, a foundation is not always so neatly laid. Case in point, my first job was working for an NGO helping disadvantaged communities around Southeast Asia. My second job was working for the Singapore government. I helped startups, I learned about new technology, I helped build the startup ecosystem here. My third job was in a 2 Michelin star French restaurant as a pastry chef. Not exactly what anybody would call a solid foundation for any career, especially Singaporean parents. Now, to isolate each of those experiences is to ignore the lessons that they taught me. I saw how food insecurity affects vulnerable communities. I saw advanced technology that could potentially help with development issues. I saw the level of waste, food, water, plastic, labor, energy, money in the food business. And those seemingly disparate building blocks laid the foundation to inspire in me an interest in improving food systems. So now I work in food waste technology. The company I work for, Winnow, uses artificial intelligence to reduce food waste in commercial kitchens. It started out with just an idea and a rough prototype. It was basically just a scale connected to a tablet. That was 6 years ago, and now we operate in over 1,000 kitchens worldwide. Just this year, we launched what we call Winnow Vision, which is an intelligent version of the system that uses a camera and machine learning to recognize food waste. The principle is still the same. We give chefs data about the food waste so that they can make incremental but impactful choices about their food production that reduces their food waste and therefore carbon emissions. Altogether across the world, chefs who use Winnow reduce carbon emissions by 36,000 tons a year. That didn't happen overnight. It started out with a tablet and a scale. From little things big things grow. We're growing up now in an age where you're exposed constantly to everybody else's highlight reels. And there's this idea that you wake up one day and you just do something hugely impressive. You start a company, you launch a new technology, and you look hashtag flawless while doing it. We talk about the hustle and we boast about being busy and how tired we are, and then we turn around and we say, there's no point in me doing anything, I can't make a difference. Why are you working so hard if you don't think you can make a difference? These false models of success are powerful in really dangerous ways. They're insidious. We forget that you don't have to come from the right family. You don't have to have the best grades. You don't have to have the most popular Instagram feed to do something worthwhile. We forget that sometimes the actions that have the biggest impact are not organized. They're organic, they're optimistic, they're generous, and they're based on what's important to you and what makes sense in your life. It's about choosing who or what to invest in that makes sense to you. Do the work of gathering these bricks, even if it doesn't make sense to you right now, because imagine what you could build. When I say you, I'm talking to all of you today who are sitting here, every single one. The you who is not getting the best grades, so you're not going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant, and that's scary. I'm talking to the you who is struggling with anxiety or depression, but you're trying your best and you showed up. I'm talking to the you who doesn't know everything about everything, and so you feel like an imposter, even though you know enough. You, we are exactly the right people who can do and create and inspire in spite of. You don't have to bring a cathedral. You just have to bring a brick. While I was preparing for this talk, I was brainstorming with a friend of mine some examples that were a little bit more accessible than I'm going to loan my sibling their entire college fund. Every single suggestion that he had from my life, I shot down because I said, this is not a big deal. And he reminded me that that was the whole point. When you put the pieces of the puzzle together, it's a beautiful picture. Even if your puzzle piece is a little wonky and weird looking, your wonky, weird puzzle piece is your contribution to your friends and your community and your environment. It's not about world changing, it's about world building. How do you do that? First, start by taking a look at your lifestyle, right? Don't look at trends. Plastic straws are a great example of something that is really small that has become a catalyst for a worldwide movement against plastic waste. So I bought a bamboo straw, a glass straw, a metal straw, and I lost all of them, okay, before I realized I don't even use straws. So that particular building block, not relevant to me, and maybe not relevant to you. Make decisions based on what you know. You are the best person in your life to know what's good for you and your community. So go and figure it out. Figure out a solution and then bring it back to your community and give them specific action items that they can work towards. For example, in my workplace, all my colleagues were using plastic and styrofoam to take away their food at lunchtime, and it drove me nuts because there were glass containers piled up in the pantry. So all I did was every time we went for lunch, I would say, hey guys, don't forget your stuff. And I would rummage around and take a really long time. Since I was taking a long time anyway, they were like, all right, I'll do that as well. And now a year later, that's just how we do things in the office. Another plastic saving vein. On a recent trip to Mongolia, I had to wrap up my backpack in, the plastic wrapping thing at the airport so that I could check it in. It was truly horrifying to watch as an environmentalist. So when I got to the other side, I took 5 minutes and I unwrapped my backpack and I kept a makeshift cling wrap roll throughout the trip. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just knew I didn't want to throw it away. During the course of the trip, I used that plastic wrap to fix my boots when the sole fell off in the middle of the desert. I used it to cover my water bottle so that I wouldn't get dirt in it and I wouldn't get cholera, which would be bad. I used it to tie up my mosquito net over my bed so I didn't get eaten by bugs at night. I used it to wrap up the forest honey that I bought for my dad so it didn't get all over my clothes. And I used it to wrap up the camel vodka that my host family gave me so that my clothes wouldn't smell like camel. It didn't work. Everything still smelled like camel. But at least I tried. I'm sharing this story with you because I used to beat myself up a lot about not being the perfect environmentalist. Doing something imperfectly is better than not doing it at all. Remember that you are just gathering building material right now, so use what you have. All right, so if the environment is not kind of your jam, maybe gender equality is. Nobody is asking you to organize a women's march. A lot of you are about to join the workforce maybe, or you've been in it for a couple of years and you're still figuring things out. You can start with having candid conversations about salary, especially if you're a man. Because then your female colleagues know what their work should be worth. At the very least, exactly the same as you. The only people who are benefiting from you not sharing your salary are your employers. If that's too aggressive for you, then start by being a good ally. Notice when your colleagues are given unpromotable work, like buying the birthday cakes for the office, or clearing up coffee cups after conference calls. Help them to echo their ideas in meetings and make sure that credit is given to them where it's due. Your workplace or your school is one world where you can make a difference by building healthy and sustainable habits. Outside of your professional life, build your personal life brick by brick by showing that you care. When I go out for a night with my girlfriends, I make sure that every single one of them texts me after they get home. I know it's really safe in Singapore. I don't care. As long as they know that I'm there for the little things, they know I'm going to be there for the big things too. Taking the first steps can be really intimidating. A lot of the times we're going to fail because of things completely outside of our control. Other times we're going to fail because of self-sabotage. We tell ourselves things like, I'm just so busy, I don't have time for that. Okay, so think about maybe reprioritizing and making time for the things that are important to you. We tell ourselves things like, I don't know anything about that, so I don't think that I can contribute. Okay. Try having a growth mindset and know that you can always learn more. Nobody starts knowing everything. We tell ourselves things like, I'm never going to have as big an impact as Emma Watson or David Attenborough or Greta Thunberg, so why bother? Within your own community, you just need to bring a brick to start a cathedral. You have the power to throw a pebble and create a ripple of positive change that is hard to imagine if you're only focusing on the biggest impact that you've ever seen. So I invite you to try to imagine endless possibilities. It doesn't have to be your whole job or your whole world to do good. I mean, if you want to, then that is fantastic. But either way, it has to come with consistent impactful, if small, changes. Remember that a snowflake makes a snowball, makes an avalanche. A seed makes a plant, makes a forest. If you don't invest in the small things, you don't create the opportunity for big things to grow. So today I invite you to think small and change just one thing that will change your life right now and maybe 5 lives in the next generation. If you think about how something small, like somebody's smile, can make your day, or somebody's mean comment can ruin your whole day, you start to understand you don't need to do as much as you think to make an impact. You feel the vibe of this room right now. I would like you to do something for me. I would like you to turn to the person next to you and have a look at them, find something cool or interesting about them, and then look them in the eye and pay them a genuine compliment. I'll give you 5 seconds to do it. Go nuts. I love your hair, by the way. It's beautiful. Really nice color. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So now, if you feel the vibe of the room again, I hear a lot of laughter. I see some really genuine smiles, right? And that is because you guys are really, really powerful just from doing that one small thing. Because from little things, big things grow. Thank you.